final decision begins. LeBron James may have already played his final game in a Lakers jersey, and the entire NBA is now staring at one city like it already knows where the story is supposed to end. Cleveland. Not Los Angeles, not Miami, not some brand new super team built overnight for one last headline. Cleveland, Ohio, the place where the kid from Akron became the chosen one, broke a city's heart, came back to heal it, and now might be preparing to walk through that same door one final time. After the Lakers were swept out of the playoffs by the Oklahoma City Thunder, LeBron stood in the hallway of Paycom Center with the kind of look only a man at the edge of history can wear. He had just dropped 24 points in what may have been his final NBA game, but when reporters asked him what came next, he did not give them certainty. He did not give them a farewell speech. He did not give them a promise. He gave them mystery. He said he had no idea. He said he wanted to live. He said when he knew, everyone else would know. And that silence was louder than any announcement. Because every time LeBron James has reached a major crossroads, the NBA starts to feel it before the decision becomes official. The rumors begin. The insiders start circling. Front offices quietly run numbers. Fans search for clues in every sentence, every look, every family photo, every podcast line. And this time, the loudest rumor in the league is not about another Lakers run. It is about home. ESPN has already reported that speculation around the league points toward LeBron returning to the Cleveland Cavaliers for a third stint. The Athletic has leaned into the same idea. Kevin Garnett said if he were LeBron, he would go back to Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell was asked about it and refused to turn the answer into a headline, which somehow made the headline even bigger. That is how powerful this story is. Because this would not be just another free agency move. This would be the final frame of a basketball movie that started in 2003, when Cleveland won the lottery and chose a teenager from Akron with the first overall pick. This would be the king returning to the kingdom where he was crowned, where he was blamed, where he was forgiven, and where he delivered the greatest championship in franchise history. But here is the problem. The perfect ending may be the hardest one to actually make happen. LeBron is not just choosing between teams. He is judging Hallie. Tell LeBron is not just choosing between Yotsips. He is choosing, the Lakers still want him. Cleveland, other contenders will call. His family is rooted in Los Angeles. His son Bronny is still connected to the Lakers, and the Cavaliers, as emotional as this reunion sounds, do not have unlimited money or unlimited roster flexibility. So the question is no longer whether Cleveland wants LeBron back. Of course they do. The real question is whether LeBron James is willing to bend the final chapter of his life around the one city that never truly let him go. Because if he comes back, every game becomes history. Every entrance becomes a memory. Every touch of the ball inside Rocket Arena becomes a reminder of what he meant, what he lost, what he repaired, and what he still might have let. But if he does not come back, Cleveland will be left with the same painful truth it has lived through before. Sometimes the most beautiful ending is the one that never happened. So now the NBA waits. The Lakers wait, the Cavaliers wait, Donovan Mitchell waits, Bronny waits, Cleveland waits. And somewhere, LeBron James is sitting with his family, looking at the final blank page of the greatest career of this generation, deciding whether the last word should be written in Los Angeles, in retirement, or back home in Ohio. If you are watching from Cleveland, Los Angeles, Miami, or anywhere in the world, comment where you are watching from right now. And if you believe LeBron should return to Cleveland for one final season, press 1. If you think he should stay with the Lakers, press 2. If you think he should retire now and protect the legacy, press 3. Don't forget to subscribe, because this story is only getting bigger from here. Why Cleveland keeps calling his name. To understand why Cleveland keeps getting louder in every LeBron conversation, you have to understand something simple. This was never just a basketball city to him. This was the beginning of the myth. Before the championships, before the MVPs, before Miami, before Los Angeles, before the scoring record, before the debates that split generations of fans, there was a teenager from Akron walking into the NBA with the weight of an entire state on his shoulder. LeBron James was not drafted like a normal prospect. He was received like a prophecy. Cleveland did not just select him number 1 overall in 2003. Cleveland believed it had been chosen by fate. The Cavaliers were not a glamour franchise. They were not a historic powerhouse. They were a team starving for meaning, and suddenly the most hyped young basketball player in the world was not going to New York, not Los Angeles, not Chicago. He was staying home. That changed everything. From the first night he stepped on an NBA floor, people could feel it. 18 years old, surrounded by grown men, carrying a national spotlight that would have crushed most players before halftime. and still, he looked like he belonged. The numbers were impressive, but the presence was bigger than the numbers. Cleveland did not just see a rookie. They saw the future walking in real time. Every dunk felt like a promise. Every no-look pass felt like proof. Every national television game felt like a city being introduced to the rest of America. And the bond grew fast. LeBron became more than the Cavaliers' best player. He became the symbol of Cleveland sports survival. A city that had lived through heartbreak after heartbreak finally had someone who could stand in the middle of the floor and make people believe the ending could be different. That is why this possible return hits so hard. Because if LeBron goes back to Cleveland for one final season, it will not feel like a normal veteran sign. It will feel like the last page of a book that started writing itself before he was even old enough to drink champagne in a locker room. It will feel like the basketball universe closing the circle it opened on draft night. And that is why every rumor matters. Every insider report matters. Every careful answer from Donovan Mitchell matters. Every quiet pause from LeBron mattered, because Cleveland was never just one stop in his career. It was the place that made the story matter. The first love. The first betrayal. For 7 years, Cleveland loved LeBron like he belonged only to them. That was the beautiful part. It was also the dangerous part, because when a city puts that much hope into one man, every season becomes personal. Every playoff loss feels like a family wound. Every roster mistake becomes a betrayal. Every rumor about leaving turns into panic. And with LeBron, the pressure was never just about winning basketball games. It was about saving Cleveland from its own sports history. He carried that burden young. By 2007, he had already dragged the Cavaliers to the NBA Finals. The roster was not perfect. The supporting cast was not built like a dynasty. But LeBron kept making the impossible feel possible. Against Detroit, he produced one of those performances that made people stop comparing him to normal stars. It was not just scoring, it was control, it was force, it was inevitability. Cleveland saw it and thought, this is it. This is the man who ends the curse. But the title did not come. Not in 2007, not in 2008, not in 2009, not in 2010. And every year, the emotional bill got bigger. LeBron became the best player in the league while Cleveland kept falling short of the final goal. He won MVPs, he filled arenas, he made the Cavaliers relevant in a way they had never been before, but relevance was not enough anymore. The promise had become too big. The dream had become too expensive. Then came the decision, one television special, one sentence, one city frozen in disbelief. When LeBron announced he was taking his talents to South Beach, Cleveland did not hear a free agent making a career choice. Cleveland heard its chosen son leaving home in front of the entire country. The reaction was immediate and painful. Jerseys burned. Fans cried. Dan Gilbert wrote the letter that became infamous. The relationship between LeBron and Cleveland cracked in public, and for a while, it looked impossible to repair. But that is what makes the story so powerful now. Because the same city that felt abandoned would later become the city he saved. The same fans who booed him would later chant for him. The same franchise that lost him would later welcome him back like the prodigal king. And now, all these years later, that history is sitting in the background again. If LeBron returns one last time, he is not just returning to a team. He is returning to the place where love turned into pain, pain turned into forgiveness, and forgiveness turned into immortality. The return that changed everything. When LeBron came back to Cleveland in 2014, it did not feel like a signing. It felt like an apology being answered. The city had spent 4 years trying to convince itself it had moved on, but nobody really had. Not the fans, not the franchise, not the reporters, not the kids in Akron who still wore his shoes even after the heartbreak, and probably not LeBron himself. Miami gave him what he needed: championships, finals experience, the freedom to become a winner on his own terms. But Cleveland still had something Miami could never offer: home. So when LeBron announced his return, the anger melted almost instantly. The same city that once burned his jersey was now buying tickets within hours. The same people who said they would never forgive him were suddenly planning parade routes in their heads. Because deep down, Cleveland always wanted him back. They just wanted him to come back with purpose. And he did. The second Cleveland chapter was not easy. There were injuries, there were roster changes, there were coaching questions, pressure, expectations, and the impossible shadow of Golden State. But LeBron had returned for one reason: to deliver what he had promised before he ever truly understood the size of the promise. A championship. Then came 2016. Down 3-1 to the Warriors against the greatest regular season team in NBA history. The Cavaliers looked finished. Most teams would have accepted reality. Most stars would have gone down with respectable numbers and a painful handshake. LeBron did something else. He turned the series into a personal war against history. Back-to-back 4 one-point games, the chase down block, the Game 7 triple-double, the tears on the floor, the scream that Cleveland will never forget. Cleveland, this is for you. That sentence changed everything. It did not erase the decision, but it transformed it. It made the pain part of the journey instead of the ending. It turned LeBron from the man who left in to the man who came back and finished the job. That is why a third Cleveland chapter would be so emotionally dangerous, because the second chapter already gave the city its miracle. The third chapter cannot top that easily. It would not be about fixing a broken promise. That promise was already fulfilled. This time, it would be about something more delicate, saying goodbye. And maybe that is the only thing powerful enough to bring him back. Why Los Angeles no longer feels like home? Los Angeles gave LeBron James a different kind of kingdom. It gave him sunshine, Hollywood, business power, family stability, a Lakers jersey, and another championship. It gave him the stage to become not just a basketball icon, but a global institution. For many players, that would be the perfect final chapter. But LeBron has never been most players. The Lakers chapter was successful. Nobody can take that away. He won a title in 2020. He played beside Anthony Davis. He broke the NBA scoring record in purple and gold. He raised his children in Southern California and built a life that extended far beyond basketball. But something has changed. The Lakers are no longer built around LeBron the way his teams have always been built around him. The organization is now shifting toward Luka Dončić. Rob Pelinka has made it clear the future roster shape points toward Luka. That is not disrespect. That is reality. Luka is younger. Luka is the next engine. Luka is the player the Lakers have to think about when LeBron is gone. But for LeBron, that creates an uncomfortable question. Does the greatest player of his generation want his final season to be spent as a supporting piece in someone else's era? He can do it. He has the basketball intelligence. He has the maturity. He has already shown he can step back, mentor, and let others carry possessions. But there is a difference between accepting a role and wanting that role to be your ending. In Cleveland, the story would still belong to him emotionally, even if Donovan Mitchell carried the scoring load. In Los Angeles, the story is already moving forward without waiting for him. That matters, because final chapters are not just about where a player can win, they are about where the ending feels right. Los Angeles was an important chapter, but it was never the place that shaped his basketball soul. It was never the city that drafted him. It was never the city that watched him grow from a teenage promise into a civic symbol. The Lakers can offer comfort. They can offer family stability. They can offer brawny. They can offer a familiar locker room and a powerful brand. But Cleveland can offer something Los Angeles cannot: closure. And for a man who has controlled almost every major turn of his career, closure may be the one prize left that statistics cannot capture. Cleveland is no longer just a memory. The most important reason this Cleveland rumor refuses to die is not nostalgia. It is the roster. If the Cavaliers were rebuilding, this conversation would feel sentimental but unrealistic. If they were a lottery team trying to sell tickets with an emotional reunion, LeBron would have no reason to risk the final chapter of his career just to wave goodbye in front of old fans. But that is not what Cleveland is anymore. The Cavaliers have built something real. Donovan Mitchell is no longer just a star trying to prove he can lead. He has become the emotional center of a team with legitimate playoff ambition. He can score at an elite level. He can carry a fourth quarter. He has already pushed Cleveland into deeper territory than they had reached since LeBron left, and that changes the pitch completely. Cleveland is not asking LeBron to come home and save them from nothing. Cleveland is asking him to come home and help finish something that is already alive. That is a very different offer. Evan Mobley gives them length, defense, and the kind of young front court upside every contender wants. Jared Allen anchors the paint. James Harden, if kept in the structure, gives them another creator, another veteran, another player who has lived under the pressure of postseason expectations. Kenny Atkinson gives the team a serious basketball identity from the bench. Then add LeBron. Not 2018 LeBron, who had to drag every possession uphill. Not 2007 LeBron, who had to be superhero and system at the same time. This version of LeBron would not need to carry the Cavaliers every night. He would need to organize, punish mismatches, control tempo, guide the locker room, and rise when the playoffs demand greatness. That is still terrifying. A Cleveland lineup with Mitchell, Harden, LeBron, Mobley, and Allen would instantly become one of the biggest stories in basketball. Maybe not the automatic favorite, maybe not unbeatable, but dangerous? Absolutely. Experienced? Without question. Emotional? More than any team in the league. And then there is Mitchell's connection to the story. He was a kid when the decision happened. He watched LeBron leave Cleveland. Now he could become the star who welcomes him back. That detail feels almost too perfect. Like the basketball gods were waiting 16 years to connect the dots. That is why this rumor has power. Because Cleveland is no longer just LeBron's past. It might actually be his best basketball future. The money problem, that could ruin everything. But The NBA does not run on poetry. It runs on contracts. And that is where the beautiful Cleveland ending starts to get complicated. LeBron James may want the perfect final chapter. Cleveland may want him back. Donovan Mitchell may welcome the idea. Fans may already be imagining the ovation when he walks back into Rocket Arena. But none of that changes the financial reality sitting in the middle of the room. The Cavaliers do not have clean cap space. They are already dealing with major money across the roster. Mitchell's contract situation matters. Harden's next deal matters. Mobley's future matters. Jared Allen's money matters. The second apron rules under the new CBA make everything tighter, harsher, and more difficult for teams trying to add expensive talent without breaking apart the roster that made them attractive in the first place. That is the trap. If Cleveland strips too much salary to get LeBron, they might destroy the very contender he would want to join. If LeBron refuses to take a major pay cut, the Cavaliers may not have a simple path to sign him outright. If the Lakers become part of a sign and trade, then Los Angeles will want something back. And Cleveland has to ask itself a brutal question. How much of the future do you sacrifice for one final year of LeBron James? Emotion says do whatever it takes. Basketball operations say be careful. That is why this situation is so tense. Because the dream is clear, but the mechanism is messy. Brian Windhorst has already poured cold water on the idea that LeBron would simply return to Cleveland for a deeply reduced salary. And that matters because Windhorst has covered LeBron longer than almost anyone. When that kind of reporting enters the conversation, it forces everyone to stop pretending this is just about feelings. LeBron has earned the right to be paid. Cleveland has the right to protect its roster. The Lakers have the right to demand value if they help facilitate a move. And the salary cap does not care about fairy tales. So, the perfect ending now depends on imperfect math. Maybe Harden restructures in a way that creates breathing room. Maybe Cleveland finds a trade path. Maybe LeBron decides the emotional reward is worth financial sacrifice. Maybe the Lakers cooperate because it helps them move fully into the Luka era. Or maybe none of it happens. And that is the painful part. The storybook ending is sitting right there. Everyone can see it. Everyone can feel it. But one spreadsheet could still shut the door. The family factor, nobody can ignore. There is one reason LeBron James cannot treat this like a normal free agency decision. Family. At 41 years old, after more than 2 decades in the NBA, LeBron is no longer just choosing the best basketball situation, he is choosing the best life situation. And that changes everything. Bronny is still connected to the Lakers. For the last 2 seasons, LeBron got to live one of the rarest dreams in sports, playing in the NBA with his son. Leaving Los Angeles could mean stepping away from that day-to-day father-son experience. And that is not a small thing. Then there is Yuri, who has built her own life in Southern California through volleyball. Bryce has his own path too. LeBron's family is not just visiting Los Angeles anymore. They are rooted there. That makes Cleveland complicated, because Cleveland may be home emotionally, but Los Angeles is home practically. His children's lives are there, his businesses are there, his family rhythm is there. And for a man who has spent his entire adult life giving everything to basketball, the final decision has to include the people who stood beside him through all of it. Fans want the perfect ending. They want the king back in Cleveland. They want the final ovation, the wine and gold jersey, the full circle moment. But real life is not always built like a movie. LeBron has to ask harder questions. Does one final season in Cleveland mean enough to move his family rhythm again? Does the emotional power of going home outweigh the stability he has in Los Angeles? Can he chase closure without disrupting the people closest to him? That is why this decision is so human. Cleveland can offer legacy. Los Angeles can offer comfort. Basketball can offer one more chapter. Family may decide whether that chapter gets written at all. And maybe that is the clearest sign that the end is near. Because for the first time, this may not be about what the NBA needs from LeBron. It may be about what LeBron's life needs from basketball. 3 doors in front of the king. LeBron James now has 3 doors in front of him, and every door comes with a price. The first door is retirement. It would shock the NBA, but it would not be wrong. He has already broken the records, won the rings, carried franchises, survived pressure, and built one of the greatest careers basketball has ever seen. If he walks away now, he leaves while he can still play, while people still see greatness, not decline. That is rare. Most legends wait too long. LeBron could leave before the game takes the choice away from him. But retirement would also mean no final run, no last playoff battle, no Cleveland homecoming, no chance to give the story one more unforgettable scene. The second door is staying with the Lakers. That is the most comfortable path. His family is settled in Los Angeles. Bronny is still connected to the Lakers. His business life is there. The Lakers remain one of the biggest stages in sports. He could mentor Luka Dončić, help guide the next era, and finish his career without uprooting the people closest to him. But comfort is not the same as closure. The Lakers are becoming Luka's team now. If LeBron stays, his final season may be about passing the torch instead of holding it. That might be peaceful, but it may not feel like the ending a career this historic deserves. The third door is Cleveland. That is the emotional door, the dangerous door, the door that turns a basketball decision into a national story. Cleveland is where he began, where he was loved, where he was hated, where he was forgiven, and where he delivered the championship that changed everything. But Cleveland is also complicated. The money is difficult, the salary cap is tight, the family factor is real, and if he comes back, the expectations would be massive from day one. So this is not an easy decision. Retirement protects his body. Los Angeles protects his family rhythm. Cleveland protects the story. And now LeBron has to decide which ending matters most. The legacy of a full circle ending. LeBron James is not trying to prove he is great anymore. That part is finished. Now he is deciding how greatness should say goodbye. If he retires, the message is powerful. Walk away with peace, protect your body, and leave the game before the game leaves you. If he stays with the Lakers, the message is about family, stability, and choosing life beyond basketball. But if he returns to Cleveland, the message becomes something much bigger. It becomes a story about home. Cleveland and LeBron were never perfect. That is why the story matters. He gave the city hope, then broke its heart. He left, came back, and delivered the championship that Cleveland had waited decades to see. That 2016 title changed his relationship with the city forever. It turned pain into forgiveness, and forgiveness into history. A final Edu would not edu. It would not erase Miami. It would not erase Los Angeles. It would not erase the controversy, the departure rate, or the difficult decisions. It would simply put the final page in the same place where the first page was written. The kid from Akron, the #1 pick, the chosen one, the champion, the king coming home one last time. And from a basketball standpoint, Cleveland actually makes sense. Donovan Mitchell can carry the scoring. James Harden can create. Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen can protect the paint. LeBron would not need to be the entire system anymore. He would only need to be the veteran force who controls the biggest moments. That might be enough. But whatever he chooses, the lesson is clear. Legacy is not only about rings, records, or numbers. Legacy is about how you handle pressure, love, criticism, family, aging, and the final moment when everyone wants one more chapter from you. LeBron has given basketball more than anyone could have asked for. Now he gets to choose what basketball gets left. So if you think LeBron should return to Cleveland and finish the story where it started, comment 1. If you think he should stay with the Lakers, comment 2. If you think he should retire now with nothing left to prove, comment 3. And if this story gave you chills, hit like, share it with another NBA fan, and subscribe to the channel, because the Kings' final decision could become the biggest NBA story of the year.